All right, so the title of this one is 8 Ways to Build Muscle at Home. And these 8 things, these are 8, you can look at them as ways to build muscle, or you can also look at them as mistakes that you may be making if you're actually working at home. All 8 of these things are effective. They do work incredibly well if you actually apply them. And in my opinion, they are the keys if you want to build muscle at home. So let's just run through them real quick. Anything I mentioned here can be found back at jasonstake.com. It is the March 1st, 2019 post, 8 ways to build muscle at home. So any studies or whatnot I cite, you can certainly find back there. The first is focus on failure. One of the biggest issues with your common body weight exercises is push-ups, body weight squats, things like that. Not so much pull-ups. A lot of people struggle to do pull-ups, but even there, if you can do a lot of pull-ups, is that these turn into endurance lifts. And one of the biggest reasons that guys training in the gym can often build quite a bit more muscle and quite a bit faster than guys or who are working out at home doing your push-ups and doing everything is for the simple standpoint that they can add weight. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit below, but they can add weight to their training. They can progressively overload the exercises, and it's a huge factor because when you progressively overload, when you add weight and you continually increase weight, simply put, you actively recruit more and bigger muscle fibers. That means your type 2 fibers, and the more and bigger fibers you recruit, the more muscle, at least from a science-based perspective, the more muscle you're going to gain. And so training to failure, if you can't add weight, if you're working at home and you haven't found a way to add resistance, if you're taking your exercise to failure, not on every set you're doing, but on your final set, at least, if you take that to failure, you're going to actively recruit more fibers and you can actually build more muscle. And studies after study shows this, and we cited a lot of those studies here. So that's point 1, train to failure. Point 2, we mentioned this, add resistance. You got to get creative with your at-home workouts. Okay, again, guys at the gym are typically able to build more muscle, not always, but generally speaking, because they can add resistance. So if I do bench press, I can continually add weight to that bar, which is why generally I am able to build a bigger chest, bigger front delt, and whatnot. The same thing applies to overhead press, the same thing applies to squatting and everything else. With your standard body weight exercises, okay, typically if you're not adding resistance, okay, they just turn into endurance exercises. So you need to get creative in adding resistance. Now, whether this means that you have your wife or a girlfriend or your kids hang from your back when you squat or sit on your back when you do push-ups, you can certainly do that. And as crazy as that sounds, that actually makes a big difference because it's all about adding resistance to the actual movements that you're doing. The more resistance you can add, the more you're going to recruit the bigger fibers, your type 2 fibers, and the more muscle you will in fact build. And again, this is actually proven, okay? So there's 2. You can take your exercise to failure, but adding resistance is actually more important than going to failure, okay? And if you're adding resistance and going to failure, that is, you're sort of getting a double whammy there. So number 2, do unilateral exercises. These are for example, these are one leg exercises or one arm exercises. So instead of doing double leg body weight squats, do single leg squats. This has 2 advantages. Number 1, it's going to make it more challenging. Therefore, you will in fact recruit more muscle fibers doing that. And over time, it can lead to greater gains, but also it's going to force the greater degree of balance. And studies show that the more you're forced to balance or stabilize during a workout, during an exercise, the more muscle you will in fact build. It's why free weights build more muscle than machines. It's why unilateral exercises can actually lead to greater gains and development than double leg or double arm exercises. So a key to at-home workouts, if you want to build muscle at home, is to incorporate unilateral exercises into your training. And there's a lot of ways to do this. One of my favorite unilateral exercises is the one leg squat. Another one is the step up. You can also do one arm push-ups. And there's a lot of other things you can do. If you reach up that level, one arm pull-ups, but most people can't do those. Okay, so in any event, find ways to do unilateral exercises. Number 4, get these 2 pieces of at-home equipment. Now, if I had my way, and I would create in a home gym, there are 3 pieces of heavy duty equipment I would invest in, and I talk about those here. We won't get into those in the podcast, but just as an example, one of those is a heavy duty squat rack, because I can do so much with that. But let's say you don't want to spend the money to do that. Let's say you want the basic stuff and you are willing to expect to at least spend a little bit on some equipment. Well, one of the best pieces of at-home gym equipment you can get that's super cheap is a simple doorway pull-up bar. And we have a video back here reviewing one of the cheaper ones you can actually get, and it's actually quite good. Pull-ups are a super important exercise. They're arguably the single best upper body muscle builder you can do, and they're also going to train your core. Not only that, you can do chin-ups on a pull-up bar, and chin-ups work very much the same muscles, but also they're one of the best bicep exercises you can do. And this goes for at-home body weight exercises, and it goes for at gym. Nothing is going to beat pull-ups and chin-ups, simply put, especially if you're training at home. So investing in a simple doorway pull-up bar is a great way to build muscle at home. The other piece here is a weighted vest. Weighted vests are amazing. They're amazing for at-home workouts. They're going to take your workouts to the next level because it allows you to progressively overload your movements. You can wear them during your pull-ups, during your body weight squats, during your single leg squats, during your push-ups. You can just, you name it, you can incorporate them into these lifts, and they are fantastic for at-home training, and they will in fact help you to build more muscle just having one of these. I guarantee that they're going to help you. I've used them. They just make a big difference, especially if you're finding it difficult to add resistance. Now you can get these all the way up to 150 pounds, and some of them even go higher. Okay, yeah, they're a little more expensive, but well worth the money. The fifth one here, the fifth way to build muscle at home is just a little alteration to your actual workouts, is the workout at night. So a lot of guys will jump out of bed working out at home and do their training in a fasted state. They'll run to the basement or whatever they're going to do. They'll do all their push-ups and whatever in a fasted state. Well, that's not optimal for actually building muscle. Now you're going to get into a lot of arguments with this, especially along the lines of intermittent fasting. But generally speaking, you can think about it like this. Okay, fasted training, especially doing fasted cardio, training on an empty stomach in a fasted state, is in fact a great way to burn additional fat. It works. We've cited several studies here that show that it works. I've used it. It works tremendously. And in fact, when I do my cardio, oftentimes I will do my cardio in a fasted state. So in fact, I can burn more body fat, and specifically more abdominal fat, because when you train fasted, blood flow is increased to your abdominal region. Just being in a fasted state will increase blood flow to your abdominal region. Then okay, so simply put, that's one thing to focus on. Train at night. Studies show that if you train at night, you actually have. Okay, so sorry about that. Just got cut off. Trying to find my spot back where I was. Oh yeah, working out at night. So simply put, okay, studies show training in a fasted state is great for burning fat, but one thing you'll realize, and you'll see this by if you actually look at the research, is that it's not optimal for building muscle. And a lot of guys are trying to build muscle at home, jumping out of bed, training in the morning, and then running off to work all in a fast state. Not optimal. If you switch to at night, there is research that shows, comparison studies that show that if you train at night, you can actually get better gains over time. And there's several factors involved in this. Simply put, you have fuel actually in your system. You're not in a fasted state, but also there's different anabolic signaling, okay, that is taking place at night that actually leads to increased gains. And we cite a lot of research here, but it's a huge factor for at-home workouts. If you train at night and you're working at home, you can in fact actually build more muscle. Okay, that's 5. Number 6, superset your exercises. Real quick, pretty much everybody knows what supersetting is. If I were to do a set of push-ups and then right away go over to a set of pull-ups, that would be defined as a superset. Okay, no break in between, just one right after the other. Studies show that doing this can in fact help you to build more muscle. Now remember, when you're training at home, one thing you want to do is focus on improving the intensity of the actual workout. The reason is that you typically can't lift a lot of heavy weights, and so you got to find ways to incorporate intensity in order to actively recruit your more substantial muscle fibers. This in the end will help you get better gains. Now, I don't recommend doing this for every exercise you're doing at home because there's another side to this equation. The other side is that research actually shows that getting more rest, somewhere in the vicinity of 3 to 5 minutes, can actually be better for your gains. More rest between exercises, I should say, or more rest between sets, even better said, can be better for gains. And this has a lot to do with ATP regeneration. So when you're doing your supersets of your body weight exercises, let's say you go push-ups to pull-ups, then you want to rest for 3 to 5 minutes to allow that ATP to recharge before you do that again. And also you don't want to be supersetting every single exercise that you're doing at home. But supersets are a great way to build muscle at home. They can take your at-home routines to the next level. Number 7, follow a routine like this. And I actually give a link to a routine here. But simply put, the reason that a lot of guys struggle to get results both in the gym and at home is that they don't have an actual routine. And this becomes more of an issue at home. You have people just doing whatever they feel like when they feel like doing. Well, long story short, athletes do not train. They don't have random workouts, okay? Nor do the pros, okay? Bodybuilders, natural, or whatever you have. Nor do fitness competitors. Nobody at top levels have random workouts, at least not most of the time. They're actually following a routine where they are training one set of muscle, or one muscle group one day, another muscle group the next, having their set rest days. They follow a routine. Now, there are a lot of different routines you can have at home. You can do full body splits where you're training 2 or 3 days a week. Typically, you're training more than one, but then you're taking the rest off. Or you can do a split routine where you're going upper body and then lower body, then resting for a couple days, then going upper body and lower body on split days again. And we talk about that here. Long story short, if you have a routine, you will build more muscle, okay? Because it's going to allow you to write everything down, record everything, and actually have a schedule. And when you do this, your results will be better. Sounds boring, sounds simple. It is actually a fact, okay? Which leads me to point number 8, and I just touched on it briefly, track. Another reason people struggle to build muscle at home, or in the gym for that matter, is they do not track their weights. They don't track the resistance. They don't track their reps. And if you don't track, you don't know. A prime example of this is, okay, let's say you do a set, 3 sets of 5 reps of pull-ups. Set 1, you do your body weight. Set 2, you use 10 pounds. Let's say you're using a weighted vest and that allows you to do 10 pounds. Set 3, you do 20 pounds and you struggle in the 5th rep. Well, a lot of guys will come back, okay, in a week and they will forget what they did. So they'll come back and they'll do 1 or 2 sets, both body weights, both body weight exercises, and they won't be progressively overloading because they'll forget what they had done the week before. So let's say they use 10 pounds on their weighted vest before and they come back and they use 5 pounds this time or whatnot. Simply put, a better way to do it is to do set 1 body weight, set 2 10 pounds, set 3 20 pounds, and let's say you record that you struggle but got all 5 reps. Well, if you're doing 3 sets of 5 the following week on your pull-ups, set 1 could now be 5 pounds, set 2 could be 15 pounds, set 3 could be 25 pounds, and let's say you recorded on your 4th rep, or you failed on your 4th rep. That is an example of a 5-pound progressive increase in weight from week to week, okay? And you're also recording your failures. So you know when you come back the 3rd week, you know what you got, you know where you stand. If you do this over the course of 6 to 12 weeks, you can make a lot more progress than if you do not track, simply because you know that you're continuing to add weight if you track, and what you track and measure, you can improve. And we talked a lot more about that here. It's a huge point for your at-home training if you want to build more muscle at home. Huge, major point is just tracking. Okay, so those were the 8 things. Go back and review them again if you missed them. They will help you to build muscle at home, and simply they're going to help you to do it faster and more substantially. Everything here can be found back. The corresponding post is jasonstake.com, March 1st, 2019, 8 ways to build muscle at home. Subscribe to the podcast episode if you found it useful. All that's going to do is help boost us to the top so more people can actually find it on iTunes and everything else. Until next time, have yourselves a great day.